Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge. So let's begin by sitting upright. Suspend the head from above. Let your body be soft, relaxed. Breathing comfortably so that it feels nice. Whatever that means for you, let your body give you feedback. Just by sitting still, breathing comfortably, having your body soft, open, relaxed, the nervous system will settle down and body and mind will become more calm. Now connect to the natural wish within you for happiness. Just noticing its presence, it's always there. Likewise, connecting with the wish for an end of suffering, an end of stress, pain, worries. That wish too is already there. There's no need to fabricate it. Notice how each and every move of your attention, your mind, is kind of like a search for happiness, a search to end suffering. Allowing whatever there is to be simply as it is. There's no need to change or manage or control. Leave your body and mind alone. Let them be. Instead of treating yourself as a task or this moment as a means to an end, just rest. There's nothing to do, nowhere to get. You are already here. Truth is already like this. In this way, let your body and mind calm down in their own time. Just like a glass of water that you put on the table, and the water gradually calms down by itself. And breathe in, feeling the body just like a cloud of aliveness or field of sensations. And as you breathe out, you can notice how your body gradually lets go of tension. Not because you make that happen, but simply because you pay attention and you breathe out. If you observe carefully, and you can see that each moment of release, softening, melting is actually quite nice. Whether it's a bit of softening going on in your eyes, your heart, your shoulders, it's all pleasant. Of course, there's also the option to pay attention to all the unpleasant parts of your body and complain about them and worry and so on. That's also an option. But here we cultivate the opposite, training to relax, to soften, to open up, to surrender. And sometimes it even helps to remember that whatever I'm doing right now is also what I'm training. And what I'm training is what I'm getting better at. Is what I become. Now observe how your attention moves. Where is my attention right now? And we focus on three things. First of all, the attention can go to sound. Secondly, it can go to sensations in the body, feelings. And thirdly, it can go to thought, mind stuff. The narrative, how you talk to yourself. The key here is to simply know. Right now the attention is with sound, hearing. Now it's with a feeling. Now another feeling. And now it goes to thinking. Just kind of keeping track of the movements of your attention. Simply knowing where it is. There's nothing to manage or control. The point is to be a witness, an observer. simply knowing what is happening while it is happening in real time. This is presence. And the opposite of presence is to forget yourself as an observer and get absorbed or lost in thoughts about things that do not exist, fiction, memories, things that are already gone, things that have not yet arisen. Like a dreamer, unaware that she's dreaming. From time to time, ask yourself, where is my attention right now? What am I aware of? Right this second. only aware of what is happening, but also the reactions to it. It's very good insight into seeing how your mind is conditioned to treat itself. And gradually let the narrative of the mind fade into the background, which happens naturally if you lose your interest in it. You see, it's just a bunch of words, a bunch of stories, a bunch of feelings. They're okay to exist, but they're not my business. I don't have to do anything to them. I just let them do their thing. Let the brain do its thing. Let the hormones do their thing. And all the chatter, all the stuff gradually fades in the background. The only thing left then is the experience of sound and feeling. Just aliveness, beingness. Simple, straightforward. This silent mind is a bit like a mirror. It reflects exactly what's in front of it, just as it is, but it doesn't add any commentary. It has no opinions on it or belief systems. It just reflects. See if you can have a couple of moments where you actually are like that. And while resting in this presence, you can slowly come back and open your eyes, gently stretch a bit. Good morning, everyone. What we do here is a direct response to our desire for happiness. One thing we all share in this room is a wish to be happy. At the same time, the other side of that wish, the wish to be free from suffering, free from stress. You can ask yourself this question right now: am I capable of suffering? Can I be broken? Am I fragile? And how much does it take to throw me into a world of pain and despair? You'll find it's quite easy. We're very easily broken, very easy to suffer. In fact, very easy to suffer a great deal from nothing. Just sitting quietly is enough to put you into a world of pain, a world of suffering, trying to desperately escape from it. This shows our desire for happiness, it shows our desire to be free, to be at peace. I'd like to refresh the memory of the definitions of both suffering and happiness, make it a bit more clear what I'm talking about. Otherwise, we hear those words, suffering and happiness, and we think exactly that we know what they mean, because we've heard those words many times before. When I say a word such as happiness, many images and ideas come into your mind. But are those images and ideas that come to your mind actually the thing I'm talking about? Probably not. Chances are they're not. So let's get on common ground and first define suffering and happiness. Let's start with suffering. Suffering is that which arises from the root of ignorance and craving. Ignorance simply means to not know. It's an absence of knowledge, an absence of wakefulness, clarity, consciousness. When you're going into deep sleep, that's an example of ignorance. You don't even remember it. It's just oblivion. There's nothing. Very deep form of ignorance. There's also different forms of ignorance, such as the ignorance of cause and result. For example, shouting at your partner to make them listen to you. It's an ignorance of cause and result. We think that shouting at them will make them more inclined to listen to us. Well, the opposite happens, obviously. The same goes for throwing bombs onto your enemies' villages to create peace. It's an obvious misunderstanding of cause and result, and ignorance that makes us do that. Besides, we take many things in our life to be the cause of happiness, when in reality they are a cause of suffering. Food is an example, conflating comfort with safety, conflating feelings with truth. Because I feel this, it is true. Because my feelings tell me. so it must be true, and so on. All these are forms of ignorance, of not really knowing. What's the alternative? Well, assuming, hoping, intellectual knowledge, conflating religion for the books, thinking that religion is the book. Because it is written in this book, it is true. All these are like slippery slopes. They're not really sure, because there's also other books that say the opposite. And they're also true, supposedly. Makes the whole thing really complicated. So who has the truth? Which is the right book? Just confusion upon confusion. No clarity. That's why I like to define very clearly the terms. So ignorance is that craving rooted in ignorance. Let's put it simple for today. Wanting what is not and not wanting what is. You all have an example, sitting quietly in meditation, thinking about when will it end? How much longer will we sit? That's an example of not wanting what is or wanting what is not. The end of the session while you're in it. Wanting to eat lunch while you're taking a shower. Wanting to be finished with your work when you're in the middle of it. And we all know this immediately creates suffering, immediately is stressful. Those of you who are blessed enough to have a work that you enjoy, something that you really like doing, time becomes completely irrelevant. You can spend hours and hours and you don't even notice how the hours pass by. But as soon as you're doing something you don't want to do, time becomes very slow. Minutes, a bit like hours. Perhaps you felt that during the meditation. That's very stressful. If you don't want what is, right now, this second, right now, if you don't want that, you have a problem. You already suffer. You're already stressed. So with ignorance and craving as its base, suffering arises. Think of it like a tree. Suffering is the stem, and its branches are the world we experience, just the way it is. The everyday chaos of our life as human beings. Just constantly in the pursuit of happiness, always trying, rushing, trying to get somewhere, trying to become something. And thereby at the same time constantly admitting to ourselves and the world, proclaiming, not good enough. I'm not good enough. This is not good enough. I'm unsatisfied. I'm not rested. I'm restless. In pursuit, I'm restless. While you're trying to live, you completely miss the point that you are living right now. And here when we sit together and I introduce you to presence, you're then challenged to observe what is happening, including the reactions to what is happening. They can be observed too. Not liking, trying, complaining, wanting, not wanting. All that can be observed. It's happening right now. It's undeniable. This is a step out of ignorance. Not completely, but it is more knowing than not knowing. More consciousness than unconsciousness. You become aware of your mental content. You become an observer, a watcher. So suffering also is that which arises I use this word with purpose. Arising means it is fabricated, it's created. It doesn't originally exist, but it's made. Suffering arises due to its causes and conditions. That's our chance to get out. If suffering was innate, there would be no point in sitting meditation or doing anything like that. It'd be completely meaningless to have any kind of spiritual, religious, mystical path to the divine or transcendence or anything like that. It would make no sense. If there is no escape from the prison, no escape from the matrix that we're in, then there's no point in struggling at all, actually. Then maybe the best thing we could do would be surrender. Just give up. Because all your struggles just make it worse, right? But there is a way out. And there's a way out precisely because suffering is caused. And its causes are ignorance and craving. So if you cut the root, the whole thing stops. All forms of suffering stop. If you're not cutting the root, instead if you're cutting branches, and if you're cutting fruit, you're going to do this until all eternity. And this is how we deal with suffering normally in this world. We're cutting branches and fruit. We're trying to deal with symptoms. We're not dealing with the root cause. It's very common, even in medicine, to deal with symptoms rather than with the root causes, yes? ADD, for example, ADHD or something like that, all these kind of modern day diseases. It's very rarely that someone would mention where it comes from. Our lifestyle, the way we behave. Perhaps that is at the root of these diseases. Our choices that we make, day in, day out, creating over generations a progressively weaker attention span. Having media that fuels precisely this problem. Shorter reels, fast clips, scrolling, one thing, next topic, happy emotion, sad emotion, terrified emotion, second after second. But it's kind of strange that people don't seem to be looking there for the cause of all these modern day diseases, depression, loneliness, anxiety. Might those be lifestyle related, at least partial? What percentage of it is lifestyle? Modern day lifestyle. Broken up families. Lifestyle, culture, beliefs, ideas, maybe they have something to do with it. Of course they do. It's obvious. We don't have to go look very far and blame all kinds of things but ourselves for the things we experience as a collective and an individual. So suffering is caused. Understanding the causes of your stress, even on the most mundane level, is very basic stuff. Understanding that your head hurts every day if you get a headache because of your cushion or because you're not doing enough exercise or you're sitting too long on the computer or whatever, then, well, that's the problem. You can take some paracetamol or whatever painkiller to deal with it, fair enough. But if you never address the root, the pain is not going to go away. Chances are it's getting worse over time. It's more ingrained. How about the habits of your mind? How you make yourself suffer by how you govern your attention, Are you a victim of your own attention? Are you a victim of your own thoughts? Could this be true? Are you victimized by your own organ, the brain? Isn't the brain then also the victim and the perpetrator at the same time? Isn't that a bit crazy? But let's not question those things. Let's just take a painkiller, problem solved. Let's just dull ourselves down to the most essential level. Eckhart Tolle says very funnily in one of his talks, that just barely have enough attention to not bump into things. So the rest of our attention goes where? It's just scattered. Just goes out. Might that all have to do something with our suffering? Might our behavior have something to do with our own suffering? Or is it really just others? Are others the problem? Is it really that simple? Ask yourself those questions. What's the percentage of others actually that cause you suffering? Is that suffering coming from others, really? Where is that suffering happening then? Is it happening outside of you and then it's somehow transferred into you? Kind of like if I drink some water, the water is now in my body. Is it the same with the suffering? Is it just like consuming a bit of suffering from others and then you have it and others are to be blamed for it? Probably not, yeah? Probably it's a bit more complex than that. Or a bit more simple, however you want to put it. Now, what's the definition of happiness? Happiness is that which is revealed. Notice, I'm not saying arising. That which is revealed in the absence of suffering. That goes for every bit of happiness. The less you suffer, the happier you are. That's the formula. If you want to be really, really happy, you got to really, really let go of a lot of suffering. The reason that we are not really happy right now is that we are carrying a whole lot of garbage on our backs. Stuff that's just not necessary. We carry responsibility, worry, fear, anxiety, memories, conditioning, all that stuff we carry. We are feeling like this is me, it's who I am. And so we carry it around with ourselves as if it was really important. What if it isn't? What if the single request that life has for you is to live and to be fully available here and now for whatever you need to do? And in terms of doing, what if the only request was to align your actions with causes that are leading towards happiness and to abandon the causes of suffering, both for yourself and others? What if that's the only meaning? Be here, do good. Now, right now. Not later, not yesterday. There's nothing to do about those times. The only chance to do anything really is always just now. So happiness is revealed. It's already kind of, you can say it's already there, it's just covered. Like a diamond that is covered by rock. Or the sky that is covered by clouds. And what you want to do is kind of raise above the clouds. That's spiritual practice. Go above the clouds. And get to know yourself there. So you can have access to your own happiness. You don't need to beg anymore. You don't need to make others responsible anymore. You stop pestering others by endless demands. Make me happy, make me happy. Instead, you have that happiness. You have it already. You don't have to worry about anything. It's irrelevant how others are treating you. You are already done. It is relevant for them, but not in terms of happiness for you anymore, because that's already there. So happiness is that which is revealed in the absence of suffering, and suffering is that which arises from craving and ignorance at its root. Love is kindness and compassion. And kindness, as we did in our meditation, we accessed that a little bit today, is not something you can do. It's not something that you can kind of artificially fabricate. It wouldn't be the real thing. Kindness is already there. You already, all of you, including myself, we have a desire to be happy, right? You all want to be happy? You don't want to suffer? Wouldn't it be better if you couldn't suffer anymore, no matter what happens? Some people say, well, suffering has its place because we can learn from it. Well, what's the pinnacle of that learning? Are you talking about endless learning? Then it's not real learning. Then it's just, I don't know what, but it's not real learning. If the learning doesn't ever end, then it doesn't qualify as learning. Then it maybe, you can say, it's just a cycle. Up and down and 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 up and down. And I could go on like this forever. What's the point of that? There has to be an upper goal. And the upper goal of learning should be enlightenment. It should be the highest possible outcome. And we could measure that. It's just an idea, but we could measure that with the absence of suffering. That's one way to measure it. And this world, this life, is here for you to grow in that regard. The less you suffer, the happier you are. The happier you are, the better your contribution to society. Another problem with the word happiness here is also that it kind of evokes this image of the clown or happily skipping around the bush, singing Kumbaya or something like that, yes? It's not that. That's more like being nervous or excited. Real happiness is complete relief. Nothing left to worry. We get small tastes of that in life. It's not adding on some fancy activities to your life, dressing in happy clothes or something like that. It's not that. It's much deeper than that, much more meaningful than that. Not particularly beneficial to the rest of the world if you're dancing around the bush singing Kumbaya. It's not helping anyone, you know. I'm not saying it couldn't be nice. Maybe it's nice, yeah. You have a good time. Enjoy. I'm not a killjoy. I'm not telling you don't dance and sing. It's fine to dance and sing if you like doing that. Just understand it's not true happiness. It's maybe some distraction, maybe some nervousness, some excitement. The true happiness is much more deep. And that is very beneficial for others, automatically. Just embodying that state is good for others. Just being beyond suffering, it means you're not running on fear anymore. You're not using others for your own good anymore. No need to. You already have good. You're already good. So the alternative then is you're running not from fear or fear-based kind of decision-making and so on, but you're running from love. The more fulfilled you are, the more your engine shifts. It moves over to service. From begging to service. Right now we're begging, asking things and people and times to make us happy. If you're already happy, then you don't need to go around and beg anymore. You can then give. So that's the shift, that's the change. It's not that when you're happy you have nothing to do. You're not doing anything, you're just sitting in the corner. But you're doing changes in that regard. To leave you with this image, the image of the sun that floats through space and sees nothing but darkness. Darkness everywhere. So sun feels incredibly lonely and hopes to meet some light. And eventually she meets with the moon. And the moon has a beautiful silver light. And the sun immediately falls in love with the moon. This is the begging idea, yes? So the moon has this beautiful light. The sun enjoys that light a lot. So the sun gets really attached to the moon because she likes the light the moon has to give. But where does the light really come from? It comes from the sun. The moon has no light of its own. It's just an object out there that'd be dark otherwise if it wasn't for the sun. Similarly, the sun being that beggar that goes around everywhere trying to find someone that gives her a bit of light, that is due to ignorance. The sun does not know itself. Therefore, it looks elsewhere for happiness. And let's say now the sun has found that she is the very source of light. Her behavior will change, right? It will go from asking to shining. It will go from, feeling empty and lonely because she's looking at only darkness to seeing light and nothing but light. Because she's now looking in the right direction. So ignorance is dispelled. Problems are solved. And thus the sun can go about her most natural job, which is to simply be the sun and shine. So we are very, very similar to that little simile. We're very, very similar. We're looking out into the darkness and we feel, such a horrible world and so much going wrong and so many problems and this and that. The reason for that is because we are all collectively looking in the wrong direction. So that's enough for today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.